Up next will be newspaper review.
Thanks for staying with us. And this is newspaper review with the reviewer, Chukwudi Okoliubaja, seated. Good morning, Chukwudi. I don't want people to ask me why I'm laughing.
I won't tell the viewer why you're laughing.
Claire has been a thought on my side.
Secrets here too. Now everything will tell them.
Claire has been a thought on my side.
Good morning. It's okay. Hi, Claire.
I started with a complaint about Ire and the gender issue yesterday, and I said, so what?
Yeah.
That is topical.
Actually, gender issue was raised, and I asked Ray whether she was standing in for Claire Adela Abdul-Razak.
Even Chukwudi got tired and bolted.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning, Chukwudi. Let's quickly take a look at what's trending on the front page. Let's take New Telegraph. New Telegraph is talking about the Senate steps up move to decriminalize non-use of name. The writer there says, as bill for repeal, reenactment of National Identity Management Commission 2024 passes second reading. And Southeast governors to meet Tinubu over Nnamdi Kanu's release. It's on page 2 right there. And just below the nameplates there you have Reps pass bills to create a TT state in Southeast. To probe exploitative practices against airpeace, Dangote and by foreign companies. Others urges Umahi to revoke East-West road contract over poor execution. And also trending, Tinubu enjoys rock-solid support in the north. Defense Minister says unpatriotic politicians plotting against president. Details of that on page 2. And other stories trending just before I come to this column. Let me quickly take the one just above the nameplate. Dollar again. CBN threatens to sanction banks over rejection of old denominations. And FG 6 months advice on ways to revive manufacturing sector. And just talking there, Senate approves Carlos' motion on flood menace, moves to rescue flood-ravaged communities in Abia North. And you have Nigerians spent 16.5 trillion naira on self-generated electricity at Delabu, quotes 2023 research. And you have, of course, other stories trending on the front page about cholera, death toll rising to 63, according to the NCDC. And, all right, I think that should be all now. Victor.
All right, and that takes us to the Daily Sun. Well, I've seen the story on Southeast governors pressing for Nnamdi Kanu's release. It's one of the stories there just by to the right of the nameplate, and the story is on page 8. But the major headline here is, fears in 33 states over cholera. Death toll hits 63. Reps seek more action from federal government, and the details of that story can be found on page 6. And then you have picture stories of the Southeast Governors Forum, and another of IATA Regional Vice President, Africa and the Middle East, Camille Awadi, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace, Festus Keyamo, and some other players in Johannesburg. Right? At the bottom of the front page of The Sun, fresh crisis looms in tertiary schools. SANU begins strike over 4 months unpaid salaries tomorrow. For details, you find it on page 27. Diezani's estranged husband asks courts to stop her from using his name. That one is on page 5. And to the right of the Daily Sun, terrorists kill varsity lecturer, abduct 4 others in Katsina. Sultan has no power to make appointments, says Sokoto government. Bayelsa Guba, appeal court reserves judgment in APC, Silva's appeal. Governor Diri, deputy INEC, others seek dismissal of appeal. Well, let's rest it here on the front page of the Daily Sun and go to the blueprint. And the major headline here is concerns as NNPCL declares state of emergency on crude oil production. Join the war or be left behind, Kyari tells IOCs. Details of that story you can find on page 8. CBN's 30% interest rate stifling growth, job creation. That's according to Dangote. And above the nameplate, there's no shortcut to Oronsaye's report on MDA's restructuring. That's according to Reps. And you can get details of that on page 8. I think we should also leave it here. Some of the stories have been taken earlier in other dailies. Cholera, among others. Chooks, the boy or the man?
Yeah, thank you.
Let's start with the Senate.
Yeah. You must be talking about the steps they are taking to decriminalize non-use of the national identity number. Now, some people have been saying that it is not right to make it a criminal matter that you don't use your name for certain things, that you are actually coming down on personal rights and all that. And the lawmakers seem to have been sold on the idea. They seem to have accepted it. They are canvassing a situation where its enforcement is more of an administrative thing than something that is, covered in the criminal law and all that. And it's to push the freedoms, that some people in the world enjoy. There are certain things that should actually happen in the process of normal life. You don't have to escalate them to the level of
criminalizing them.
Yeah, it's killing a hammer. Well, sorry, it's killing a fly with a sledgehammer. You Scott. Is it Scott? No, it's not the English word. Let's not miss.
But I think that while not making a case for the authorities at NIMSI, I think that it's about getting people to enroll, and that comes with a lot of benefits for the nation. You talk security, people still use their phones, they commit crimes, use their phones even while in the act, and they are unable to be tracked. But if we have everybody enrolled, if the processes are tightened, if it's a bit stiffer, then you get people to enroll. It does a lot for national security.
Yes.
But I also don't understand why we can't use other processes, make it mandatory, like we have done so far. In many ways, if you want to renew your passport or get one, if you want to get your driver's license, among other things,
yes.
By the time you make it mandatory, if other agencies collaborate, I think you can't escape it whichever way.
I think that we have too many laws that have been criminalized. To what extent you still find people flouting those?
Have they really worked?
Exactly.
That's the point.
That's the point.
That's it.
So we must begin to look at issues like this. I think what Nigerians really are asking or would want to see is a process that is seamless and without bureaucracy.
Yes.
For instance, you saw what happened to the SIM card upgrade. The networks provided, platforms where people could go, even though, of course, there were crowds, but it gave people the opportunity, to go, at a time. Once the particular deadline, elapsed, they extended it. So I don't think criminalizing,
yes.
this particular
the real issue is that developing nations, Africa is in the thick of it, are still finding data capturation an uphill task. Otherwise, in nations that have crossed these hurdles a long time ago, they don't need such things. Yeah. They are talking actually about social security and all that.
Yes, I think
where some jobless people even pick up benefits because they don't have jobs.
There should be more. There should be very robust public enlightenment.
Yes.
Campaign. You should not stop.
And I keep saying that part of the reason Africa seems to have issues because the problems in Nigeria are almost replicated in other African countries. So I keep talking about Africa. The problem is that we have departed from some African ways of putting out information. Victor, I don't think that in the 21st, in this century, it is out of place for somebody to take a gong in the evening in the villages and still announce certain things. You say that everybody has need now, everybody has the cell phone now and all that. You mentioned, for instance, that we could go the driver's license way. We could go the way of international passport.
These are already existing, by the way.
But the question I ask is, what percentage of people will be captured under that?
Okay, Chooks,
that is the issue.
Let's move on to another story you have on
is
the
it the
front page of
dollar?
Telegraph. No, not really the dollar.
Okay,
the
okay.
creation of a titi, I think that's the name. A
Yes.
titi state in the southeast.
Yes. It's a ding-dong affair, as Ernesto Okonkwo would say in those days when football does not have a definitive direction in terms of who scores the goal. It's a ding-dong affair between a titi state now and a Anioma state being canvassed.
Is it a titi?
A titi. It's a titi.
A titi.
A titi. Come on, let's sound like people who know a little Igbo. By the way,
because you said a titi.
by the way, I have said, please, let's watch it. Igbo language may be going down in terms of writing it and all that. Hausa and Yoruba are doing better. Anyway, creation of a titi state. The titi state. The argument is that you don't have, the Southeast has the least number of states and all that, which
So make it up.
which I think is factual. And people are saying, if you're looking at geographical coverage, that is not the way to look. You look at population, you look at density and all that. So to that extent, we have to give it to the Southeast people. But then I quickly would sound a little selfish when I hear that Anioma State could also be a great contender, because those of us in Delta
But
State.
the people in Anioma, do they want to become Southeast and not South-South?
That argument
followed that argument
will take
for a
7
while.
decades to take on. So, Victor, don't even go there. Let us talk about something that gives you allocation and all that.
That's the denomination. Can we look at that also? I don't know what you think about that.
Why would anybody be talking about rejection of old denominations in mind? You see, the point is this. Certain things are known to be law. When they become law, you do not even suggest anything that goes against implementing such things. So it is still a developing nation, a developing continent affair. Once something is law, what is wrong in old denominations, for crying out loud? Does it have less purchasing power? I am asking. So it is ridiculous for us to even think that. But if I may quickly say this, the move by Southeast governors to see to Nnamdi Kanu's possible release is very important. I said just 3 weeks ago that it's about time action is taken on that young man's matter. He is wasting away in prison, not helping himself and helping his country. That's a very intelligent young man. If there are disparate or divergent views on nationhood and all that, that should be settled properly. The courts have said, let him go. So it becomes a political question.
A political
a
political solution may just be the best way to go.
Yes.
But just before we let you go, CBN's 30% interest rate stifling growth, job creation, and that's according to Dangote. Now, if a major industrialist like Dangote is saying this will stifle growth and job creation, what do you say of entrepreneurs?
Entrepreneurs, the first thing is that where they need 30 people, they are now making do with about 15 people or 10. That means that some slave labor is happening in some of those companies, come to think of it. Because you work your whatever
Of course, you can't be running at a loss.
You understand? Dangote should know where the shoe pinches because it's in the thick of it. Now let's compare. What is the rate in the UK? What is the rate in the US? You're talking of something not close to even 5% and all that. So Dangote is talking into one of the central problems the African continent is
business.
You know, Dangote also talked about the what IOCs are doing, to oil production, and just on the front page of the blueprint. We have concerns as NNPCL declares state of emergency on crude oil production. Join the war or be left behind, Kyari tells IOCs. I don't know if you could do that in less than 30 seconds, just before we let you go.
No, is it about the crude?
Yeah.
You know?
Oil production, yes, crude
yes.
oil production.
Yeah. Now, the issue of oil production, shortfall and all that, it should not be an issue in the present. So NNPCL, I keep on saying that we should be able to meet our quota quite easily. But going to the Dangote thing, the first
you have 30 seconds.
the first thing that gladdens the heart of a Nigerian is that nobody is going to tell us about landing fees anymore, freighting and all that. So should that not bring about a difference? I think that the Nigerian environment needs to talk to those IOCs and say that we can domesticate certain things there and cut down prices for ourselves.
All right. Chukwudi Okoli-Ugbaja, many thanks for your thoughts and your time on the program today. We continue conversation or begin conversation proper when we return from this break. Please stay with us.